The race between Disney and DreamWorks from now on will probably not only take place on the battlefield of animation, but also on the arena of live-action adaptations. Seeing their rival raking in billions just by recreating pre-existing icons, The Boy Fishing on the Moon also started itching to jump into the fat and juicy live-action game. We have to remember that DreamWorks owns an enormous library of content. They have more than enough resources to serve up a whole menu of nostalgic childhood classics. Determined to claim a slice of the pie in this market, the giant unleashed its first, extremely powerful move: How to Train Your Dragon. One of the most famous, most high-quality, and most beloved franchises in the world. Nowadays, every 2 or 3 months we see a studio announce another 3D live-action remake of their classics. And it's hardly surprising anymore. Regardless of mixed opinions, nothing can deny that live-action remakes maximize profit with minimum creativity. However, after watching this dragon training recipe, I realized that if the product of such minimum creativity turns out bad, that might actually be a good thing. Because when it's bad, the flaws get exposed quickly, sparking backlash, protest, and forcing the studio to change. Unfortunately, How to Train Your Dragon is not bad. On the contrary, it is frighteningly good. This is Burke, 12 degrees north of hopeless, a few degrees south of freezing, perched firmly on the meridian of misery. One word to describe my village: stubborn. We've lived here for 7 generations, but every house is still brand new. We've got sunsets that are to die for, and only one little problem: pests. If you have mice and mosquitoes, we have dragons. Right from Hiccup's familiar introduction to the final act where he rides Toothless to defeat the monstrous Red Death, I have to admit, I've never seen a copy as flawless as this dragon manual. From Burke's village setting, every single house, the Viking clothing, to the designs of the dragons themselves, everything is recreated with stunning accuracy. As the saying goes, good artists copy, great artists steal. If so, then the 2025 version can at least proudly call itself good, because purely on visuals, it convinces every audience. It's hard to believe dragons like the deadly Natter shooting poisonous spines, or the monstrous nightmare bathing in flames, could one day step into the 3D world, looking both fierce and dangerous, yet still suitable for a PG-13 audience. With an estimated budget of over $160 million, every battle kept its epic scale and visual grandeur. Rarely do we see CGI mistakes here, and I think it's equally rare for any audience to resist Toothless's cuteness. Honestly, the Night Fury was just as lively and adorable in the animated version as it is here in the live action. Nearly identical. After Disney got slammed with so much criticism, DreamWorks chose the safe route, making a film where every actor, from the biggest role to the smallest, strictly adheres to the original. Even standout shots from the animation were carried straight into this version. And to play it safe, about 90% of the dialogue is reused too. They were even bold enough to spoil the final boss in the trailer. If someone joked that the studio just dug up the 2010 script and filmed it again, I might actually believe it. So, there's nothing much to say about the story itself. Simply put, if you loved Hiccup's original journey, you'll love this one too. But this leads to an important question: what are viewers expecting? Are you the type who wants a fresh new perspective on a classic? Or do you want to relive the emotions from 15 years ago as faithfully as possible? This is the double standard every live action faces. No innovation means being called lazy, but change too much and you're accused of disrespecting the original. That thin line forced How to Train Your Dragon to pick a side, and it chose the second group, the loyal fans who loved the animation. I belong to that group, and I have to admit DreamWorks made a very smart move. They were clever in bringing back director Dean DeBlois, composer John Powell, and actor Gerard Butler. For those who don't know, these 3 were the director, composer, and voice actor of the original trilogy. Dean DeBlois knows this dragon world inside and out. He barely misses a beat in storytelling. He knows what to trim, what to stretch, and which details to tweak so as not to ruin the original magic. John Powell reprises his own legendary score, but with an even grander, more heroic tone. Put these elements together, and it's hard to ask for more in a live-action remake. The scene of Hiccup riding Toothless through sea stacks while Test Drive plays instantly brought me back to my first time watching How to Train Your Dragon. And then there's Astrid's sunset moment, when she reaches out to touch the clouds with romantic flight swelling in the background. That's one of my all-time favorite animated sequences, and seeing it fully recreated on the big screen was pure nostalgia. I've read some foreign reviews calling this film soulless. I strongly disagree. Yes, it's a copy-paste, but certainly not soulless. The people who created the original success, Chris Sanders, Dean DeBlois, and John Powell, clearly know exactly which animated moments carry emotional weight. Watching this feels less like guesswork and more like solving a math problem with the answer already known. The cast is also a plus. I don't know how much effort DreamWorks put in, but the actors they chose match their animated counterparts perfectly. I was shocked at how well Snotlout and Fishlegs translated to live action. Two of the most physically ridiculous designs, yet here they look spot on. Astrid may not have blonde hair this time, but her personality is unchanged. The Viking warrior girl even got a few interesting tweaks. For example, in the animation, Astrid dislikes Hiccup simply because he's weak. But in the live action, the writers smartly changed it. She resents him because he's the chief's son and always favored by the villagers. That's a subtle yet logical addition, without harming the original. Young actor Mason Thames also did well as Hiccup, showing both his timid weakness and his quick wit and kind heart. But if we're talking performances, Gerard Butler as Stoic was the most impressive. He was the original voice actor, so in a way, Butler is Stoic. With a little VFX makeup, he embodies the clumsy, loving father struggling to understand his son. The father-son relationship was already touching in animation, but on screen it feels even more real. Even small details, like Stoic being so strong that a light touch sends his son flying a meter, were kept intact. All these details deepen the characters while proving just how much the team understands the source material. So overall, it's hard to deny what How to Train Your Dragon live action achieved. Honestly, it's difficult to find another adaptation in recent years with higher quality. DreamWorks played it safe by bringing back the old team, and that gamble paid off. The film's success also comes from something else. Unlike timeless fairy tales, the message of How to Train Your Dragon is still relevant today. The story of a teenager out of place in his own community, who eventually earns recognition in his own way, still resonates strongly with modern audiences, especially younger ones. As a fan of the entire trilogy, this film gave me an emotional adventure. And as I said earlier, DreamWorks made it frighteningly well. Yes, this movie will almost certainly be a big hit, both financially and critically. But that also sets a dangerous precedent. Studios now know that for live-action remakes, the closer you stick to the original, the more audiences will like it. Identical shots, identical dialogue, even identical music. They now have every excuse to just recycle old scripts. All the money gets poured into visuals to make them as close as possible, while the story is just dusted off from the old screenplay. And we, the audience, are partly responsible for this trend, because the more hostile we are to changes, the more we push studios into laziness. Copy-paste filmmaking gives them maximum profit with minimum risk. The result? In the coming years, theaters will likely be flooded with films where you already know the ending before buying a ticket. To be safe, filmmakers just need to follow the How to Train Your Dragon formula. Bring back the original creative team, people who know and love their creation inside out. We used to mock live-action The Little Mermaid, The Lion King, or Snow White, saying remakes could never compare to the immortal animation. But now, with How to Train Your Dragon proving it's possible to recapture the magic so faithfully, who's to say the next ones can't do the same, maybe even better? Lilo and Stitch just outgrossed Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible, hitting nearly $800 million. Maybe the age of original blockbusters is ending. Modern Hollywood is a stage for live-action remakes, a game with a rather ridiculous rule: the more a new movie resembles the old one, the more praise it gets. Meanwhile, original ideas are becoming rarer by the day. That said, the future is only for the future to answer. And to be fair, having a quality franchise like How to Train Your Dragon loved by a new generation also has its positives. Judging this live action alone, I went from surprised, to satisfied, to excited, and left the theater with good feelings. The adventure from 15 years ago truly came alive again. No matter how reliant it was on the original, this is still a movie worth watching. Those are film critics' thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon live action, a summer blockbuster perfect for the whole family. What about you? Did this flight with Hiccup and Toothless satisfy you? Leave a comment below so we can discuss together. For now, goodbye and happy movie watching.